play to her. Fair play that she's not just sat on her bottom expecting the taxpayer to fund her. She's being entrepreneurial.
There has been a lot, Cristo, of criticism of Meghan. People slightly sneering, I would say, at her attempts, but that's a lot of jam to sell.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, trading off the royal name that you claim that you don't like whatsoever, and then slagging off the family that you were happy to be a part of and accusing them of racism with no evidence whatsoever is very lucrative, and it's worked.
Oh, Cristo, that's so cynical.
I'm very cynical.
I'm not a fan of any. I'm not a fan of any of this lot, right? I'm not bothered by them. But to say all of that, like, is just a bit.
No, I'm
what
sorry.
What do you expect her to do? What do you expect her to do?
Leave the family. Leave the family.
They have left the family.
Issue with them
they
leaving
have
the
left
family.
the family.
I just think either leave the family or don't, but don't trade off the names and then fire grenades at them once you claim that you've left and you don't like them anymore. Either leave and go, or not.
Whatever. Cristo, if that were your a family that you'd married into, this firm that essentially, like, briefs the tabloids against you, guess what? You'd have some beef.
You're saying all of that, though, based on her words and not evidence. Like, they haven't come back and said...
You don't think the firm briefs the tabloids?
Happy Sunday, family. So, you just watched that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to British daytime television, where the volume is loud, the facts are optional, and 1 million jars of spread can apparently bring a man to the brink of emotional collapse. Yes, that clip you just watched was not about national security. It was not about public spending. It was not about war, famine, or inflation. It was about Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, selling nearly 1 million jars of spread. And somehow, this achievement triggered table-slapping, accusations of racism being made up, moral lectures about branding, and the sudden resurrection of the royal name argument like it's 2019 and people still think this line is clever. Let's start from the top, because context matters, and British television relies on viewers not remembering anything past the last 10 seconds. Marina Purkiss opens with what can only be described as a radical act on UK TV. She uses logic. She says, fair play to her. She's not just sat on her bottom expecting the taxpayer to fund her, she's being entrepreneurial. That sentence alone already disqualifies her from most British panels. Then, Susan Calman chimes in, carefully, politely, diplomatically, very please don't yell at me energy, pointing out that there has been a sneering tone toward Meghan's attempts, and she's right. But sneering is honestly generous. This isn't sneering. This is obsession with a mortgage. Because when Meghan succeeds, the British media doesn't ask how. They ask, how dare she? And then enters Cristo Foufas, stage left, with the subtlety of a tabloid headline duct-taped to a person. Immediately, without missing a beat, he goes straight to the script. She's trading off the royal name she claims she doesn't like. She slagged off the family. She accused them of racism with no evidence. Notice something important here. Not one word about the actual business. Not one word about logistics, supply chains, marketing, consumer demand. Not one word about entrepreneurship. Just vibes. Anger vibes. Tabloid vibes. Because Cristo is not reacting to jam, he's reacting to the crime of Meghan not collapsing after leaving. Let's deal with this royal name argument once and for all, because British media keeps dragging it out like a haunted doll. Meghan is married to Prince Harry. Prince Harry was born a prince. Their children were born into that family. You cannot marry into a family, be legally part of it, be globally known by that association, and then be told you must pretend it never existed the moment you stop obeying. That's not how reality works. That's not how names work, and it's definitely not how branding works. And, by the way, this obsession with she uses the title is deeply unserious coming from a country where everyone else connected to that institution monetizes proximity without question. Royals monetize ceremonies, former staff write books, friends sell access, cousins do reality TV, uncles give interviews, Tabloids make millions. But when Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, sells a product she created, suddenly it's immoral. Cristo then escalates, slamming the table, accusing Meghan of slagging off the family and accusing them of racism with no evidence. Let's pause here because this is where the mask really slips. The accusation of racism didn't come from a gossip blog. It didn't come from Twitter. It came from lived experience, corroborated by Harry, about concerns raised regarding a child's skin tone. And notice the standard being applied. When the palace leaks anonymously, that's credible. When tabloids quote sources close to the family, that's journalism. When Meghan speaks in her own voice, suddenly it's no evidence. That's not skepticism, that's bias. Marina immediately calls out the cynicism, and Cristo actually admits it. "Oh, I'm very cynical." Yes, we noticed. But cynicism is not a substitute for truth, and Marina does something clever here. She doesn't even claim to be a Meghan fan. She explicitly distances herself, and that's what makes her argument stronger. She asks the question that completely derails every single anti-Meghan rant. What do you expect her to do? And this is where the entire debate collapses every single time, because there is no correct answer. If Meghan works, she's exploiting her title. If she doesn't work, she's lazy. If she stays quiet, she's calculating. If she speaks, she's attacking. If she leaves, she's ungrateful. If she stays, she's manipulative. The goalposts move because the goal is not fairness. The goal is punishment. Cristo responds with the classic false dilemma: either leave the family or don't. Marina has to repeat it like a schoolteacher dealing with a stubborn student. They have left the family. They have left the family. They left the working royal system. They left public funding. They left the British media bubble. What they didn't leave was their history, their marriage, or their existence. Cristo says he has no issue with them leaving, and then immediately explains all the ways he actually has an issue with it. Because his real complaint is not that they left, it's that they left and didn't fail. That's the part that keeps people up at night. Then Marina lands the line that British television hates the most, the one that makes everyone suddenly look at their shoes, the firm briefing the tabloids. And watch how fast Cristo retreats to "there's no evidence." Ah yes, the firm that has perfected the art of plausible deniability, the same system that runs on unnamed sources, the same tabloids that mysteriously receive palace-friendly narratives within hours. Suddenly, that requires a signed affidavit? Please. What's fascinating about this clip is how quickly it stops being about Meghan and starts being about control. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, represents something deeply uncomfortable for the British media ecosystem, a woman who exited their system and still commands global attention. She didn't ask permission, she didn't beg forgiveness, she didn't crawl back. Instead, she built something. And the proof? 1 million jars. Let's be clear, 1 million jars of spread is not luck. It's not curiosity clicks. It's not pity purchases. That's demand. That's brand power. That's execution. And that is why this conversation happened. Not because Meghan did something wrong, but because she did something right. Cristo claims it's very lucrative to accuse the family. That's rich coming from a media environment that has built an entire economy on attacking Meghan daily. The UK press made millions off her name. Panel shows built segments around her existence. Pundits built careers critiquing her breathing. But now she profits from her own labor? Unacceptable. And here's the thing no one on that panel wanted to say out loud. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, does not need them anymore. She does not need UK approval. She does not need palace protection. She does not need tabloid validation. She is self-funded, self-directed, and visibly unbothered. And that is why a man slapped a table over jam, because the narrative failed. She was supposed to disappear. She was supposed to struggle. She was supposed to crawl back. Instead, she sold out. And Marina's final question, "Don't you think the firm briefs the tabloids?" hangs there, unanswered, because there is no answer that doesn't expose the machinery. So let's call this clip what it really is, not a debate, not a discussion, but a collective meltdown over a woman who refused to stay in her assigned box. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, did exactly what they claimed they wanted her to do. She stopped relying on the taxpayer, left the system, and built something of her own. And now they're furious about it. Because the truth is simple, and it's the one thing British media hates most. Nobody argues this hard over someone who failed. They argue like this when the ending wasn't supposed to go this way. 1 million jars later, and they're still pressed. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.